In a commercial market where consistency is a byword for success, many insurers struggle to put 4/4 of underwriting profit together, let alone 44, as is the case with Allianz. With this in mind, today I'm delighted to say I'm joined in the studio by General Manager of Allianz Commercial, Simon McGinn, to share his thoughts on the future of the market and the independent broking sector and the role of the regulator. Welcome to the studio, Simon.
Thank you.
You have publicly said that you have a 5-year plan to make Allianz the biggest commercial insurer in the UK. Is this realistic, and is there any danger of Allianz compromising its traditional consistent profitability and underwriting discipline in order to achieve that aim?
Okay, well, let me be very clear about what I've said. I think what we've said is that we have the ambition to be the #1 commercial insurer in the UK market based on the amount of pounds of profit that are delivered in any one year. So the very sort of benefits or attributes that you describe in terms of that consistency of approach and that focus on profit are absolutely critical for us to be able to do that, because what I'm really looking to do is to drive both a top line and a bottom line focus within my business so that we are able to really generate growth over the longer term in a way that delivers profit. We think we've got a very good history from an underwriting and technical perspective. We understand what we do, and therefore for me it's about being able to take that understanding of risk type and appetite to a market in a much more sophisticated way in terms of the way we market ourselves, the way in which we distribute our products, and develop those muscles alongside the underwriting muscle that we think we have already. So by doing that, we think we can bring much more to the market in terms of product sets. We can expand that. We can also expand our distribution footprint in a way that means that, from my perspective, we bring the sort of full power of Allianz into the UK commercial market, and I think therefore it's an eminently achievable ambition.
How would you describe the commercial landscape presently, and how do you predict it's going to change over the next 5 years?
Well, I think as ever the commercial landscape is its normal competitive self. I think what's interesting at the moment is we're seeing that competition manifest itself in slightly different ways. So there are much more focused areas. So we've got particular hotspots where there's a high degree of competition. There's particular hotspots where actually competition has lessened and people are trying to make changes to the profile of their books, and that drives some change in the day-to-day competitive environment. I think what's also interesting is the way in which distribution is changing access to more unusual or non-standard carrier models. So the MGA type facilities, the specialisation within bigger brokers for placement of risk, I think is something that we're beginning to see an awful lot more of, which we as insurers then have to adapt and figure out how we play a part in that. And that's something I expect will continue. Other changes, I think, over the long term will come from things like the legislative changes driven by the Law Commission. So I think there will be real benefits to customers here in terms of that clarity of proposition to the end customer. And for insurers that underwrite at the point of proposal rather than the point of claim, then I think there are some real advantages to be had there, and I think long term that carries through to the customer. The other two then really the other two areas I think that are of interest around digitalisation and data. From a digitalisation perspective, we've seen already in the small business area the whole change to that business model. So not only the sophistication of pricing that's brought to bear for smaller customers, but the service models that sit alongside that mean that brokers are better able to service customers in that arena in a way that sort of keeps them engaged in the broker channel, which I think is really important. And I think that will begin to push into the mid-market space. So I think there's more to come in that area. And the final area really then is about data. Not so much the big data discussion, which I think is a little bit overblown sometimes, but more a case of where do you get data from? How do you enable yourself to underwrite and understand risk or reduce transaction costs in commercial insurance by sourcing data from third parties? And I think that will be a real driver of change over the next 5 years.